Excellent. Great. Well, thank you to our previous speaker. And for now, I would love to introduce co-founder of Solv Protocol, Jing. And he's going to talk to us about expanding the boundaries of Bitcoin finance through RWA. Round of applause, please.
Bigger crowd than yesterday.
Okay.
Hi there. Mic test? Okay. Well, firstly, good afternoon, and thanks everyone for being here. Definitely a bigger crowd than yesterday. Firstly, thanks to the city of Denver for hosting the conference. It's actually my first time here. Been a very enjoyable week. Last night I went to watch the hockey game. Very, very good. Very, very exciting. So anyway, I'll just get straight into it. So I'm part of the team at Solv. We've been building in this space for the last 4 years, coming to 5. We've been doing for quite some time, and in a one-liner, what we are building is yield-bearing Bitcoin, right? The ability to generate returns, the ability to generate yield, the ability to do something with Bitcoin. So if we take a step back and see what has been happening. So if we take a step back and see what has been happening, right? Over the last 6 to 12 months, we have, in my view, created something that has a pretty decent product market fit. As a protocol, we have hit roughly 2.5 billion in assets staked across various offerings. We have over 1 million users, and I think it's something that goes to show that hopefully this is something that the market is looking for, that there is some form of demand for a product like that. In my view, where we are at right now can probably be broken up into 3 portions. Bitcoin or Bitcoin finance really has TradFi, so your ETFs, your Grayscale, and all those. You have your CeFi, which is your centralized exchanges, and many companies that are probably not around anymore, guys like Celsius, guys like Voyager. And then you have DeFi. The way we see it intertwining is when you have TradFi, you bring in large amounts of capital, large amounts of assets, and most importantly, you bring in legitimacy and you bring in regulation. So that, in our view, goes a long way to making this space sustainable, legitimate, and regulated. And then you have DeFi, which we are all very, very familiar with. And what really is DeFi? DeFi, in my view, and DeFi in our view, is innovation. Every year you have many products, many protocols, many projects getting built, but realistically less than 1% or less than 0.1% of them actually get any traction. But we are here for the innovation, for the cutting edge, for new developments. And then in between all of that, you have something called centralized finance. What is that actually for? A lot of the users in this space, a lot of the long-term holders, they don't really look to sell. They don't really look to cash out their assets, right? They want to hold these things as long-term digital gold. So how do they actually utilize it in the real world when all the assets are in the crypto world? Right, so you have services like lending, collateralization, borrowing, investments, etc., etc. And I feel like we are at a point where we have these 3 segments, and at Solv, what we're hoping to do is to create an ecosystem that really ties all these together, where we want to be the one-stop shop, where users can hold their assets, can keep their assets safe, but at the same time use their assets for, let's say, buying a cup of coffee, or larger purchases like buying a car, buying a house, or wealth management and investment services. Whether you want to do crypto yield farming, whether you're talking about longer-term wealth management and investment products. So at Solv, that's really what we are looking to do on a longer-term basis. So in the next stage of what we are building and in the next stage of what we are developing, I think there are a number of focuses, right? We want to be the one-stop shop. We want to be the center point where a lot of the users are going to pass through. And the way we see it is as follows. Most of the assets, most of the crypto assets, and most of the Bitcoin assets are going to increasingly be held in places like your ETFs, your traditional holders, your traditional finance holders. The first question and the first step is how do you actually bring these pools of capital and bring these users into DeFi, into this ecosystem? I think it's a very, very big bridge that we need to cross, and there's still a lot that needs to be done. So over the next few months, and this is something we have been working on for quite some time, it's about tokenization and tokenizing these ETFs. That's step one. After you have tokenized them and brought them on-chain via ERC20 contracts, what do you actually do with them? Because you don't want them to be assets just sitting in wallets, being inactive, not really doing anything. You want them to be participants in this ecosystem, whether is it lending, whether is it borrowing, whether is it trading. Essentially, it's not being siloed out, but just really being combined together as one ecosystem, right? So that's really what we are thinking about. I think we have most of this already worked out, and hopefully we'll be able to get that launch in probably the next 1 month or so. So that's something I think we are quite excited with. The other thing that we are looking at, and it's also going to be happening relatively soon, is even though, I don't have my slides there today, but even though a lot of the things that we are focused on, we talk about RWA, we talk about real-world assets, but what we really are looking to do and what we are doing is Bitcoin and the real world. Our assets are all in the digital world, but we live in the real world. How do you actually utilize these assets? How do you actually bring them to be utilized in your day-to-day life? And I think that's a lot of things that we have been thinking about. We have been trying to design a lot of the products around. So the next one we are going to launch, and we haven't decided on a name, is how do you bring a lot of real-world investments, whether is it cross-border payments, whether is it PayFi related, whether is it trade receivables, trade financing, many of these kind of things. How do you actually make them accessible to users in a regulated manner, in a safe manner, in methods that allows you to have legal a legal claim on many of these things, right? How do you design the entire thing? So these are things that we have been spending a lot of time working on, both together with chains that are very focused on this, both with partners that are looking to build this. So really, we are hoping to build an entire suite of products, an entire suite of offerings, where we want to combine your TradFi pools of capital, your TradFi users, all the way to your DeFi innovation, and how do we want to really combine them together. So I think that's all I really want to cover today. I mean, if anyone has questions, definitely feel free to stop me. If not, I think that's all for today. Thank you.